So it might just be the three of us then, I suppose. My prediction was right. Well, I have a presentation, but I'm quite happy to make this kind of conversation. So if you want to stop me at any point and ask questions, or we can take it up in a different direction. Hello, come on in. And then there were four. Fantastic. I was just saying, because it's only a few of us here, I have a presentation, but if you want to stop me, ask any questions, whatever, totally cool. So, let's get this thing started. Okay, for the benefit of the thing. This seems a little, is it quite loud? Completely unnecessary. Anyway, okay, my name is Rhys Cazenove, and I am a co-founder of Enhanced Editions. We create, amongst other things, enhanced apps for the Apple Store on the iPhone and the iPad. One of at our first release, we were very lucky that we worked in collaboration with Cazenove Books. That Nick Cave, the musician, had his second book coming out, The Death of Bunny Munro, and we all thought this was a great opportunity to launch our software. And we were very lucky. Nick was very creative. He not only did he write a fantastically dark novel about man's gradual descent into hell, he narrated it all himself, and he composed a soundtrack to go with it. And this soundtrack he then mastered in 3D spatialized sound, which means when you listen to it on your headphones, it's quite incredible. It's a fantastic experience. In addition to that, he also, we filmed him reading a few excerpts from the book, and so we had this really fantastic material to work from to showcase what we think is how digital reading should go. So we had a little promotional video that we'll play. It's quite short, but it gives you a good overview in case you're not familiar. Let's see.
In hundreds of years, little has changed about the way we read. Until now. Introducing Enhanced Editions, the evolution of the book. We've taken everything we love about books and put it in an app. Nick Cave's new novel, The Death of Bunny Munro, is the first of many great titles tailor-made for the iPhone. Lose yourself in the writing, or listen to Nick's definitive reading.
"We are hitting the road," says Bunny, cocking a thumb and jerking it over his shoulder in the general direction of the outside world. "Really?" says the boy, smiling so much that his teeth show. "Really?" says Bunny.
And switch from listening to reading to watching, without losing your place.
Bunny manoeuvres the Punto through the weekend traffic and emerges onto the seafront. With a near swoon, Bunny sees the delirious burlesque of summertime unfolding before him.
With a host of other great features, Enhanced Editions are the future of the book, with bestsellers from Barack Obama, David Eagleman, and The Wire's David Simon soon to follow. The Death of Bunny Munro is now available on the App Store.
So that gives you a kind of overview. What we did was, we have an e-reader app, and we spent a lot of time making sure that everything looked just right, that the fonts were right, the line spacing, all the presentation. And that's where most reading apps kind of finish. We included the ability to listen to the audiobook, which is synchronized to the text. And of course, you could watch videos that were placed at the relevant points in the book as well. And finally, we integrated a newsreader into it so that we could post updates whenever we wanted, telling people about where Nick was doing a book signing or other bits of news that related to the book. We got a great reception. It was launched last September, and I think it inspired a lot of people to think about what digital books could be, and I think this one in particular, from the Huffington Post, focuses on the music, about really elevating the content to another level, which was a lovely review. We won a number of awards and mentions. We've got a whole load of other reviews on our website if you want to go and check that out. And I think the key here, is that the game has changed, not just in terms of reading, but in terms of content consumption, because we're now, have started an era where we've got these high quality digital devices, great screens, fantastic processors, and really, this means that with these kind of new technologies, there are opportunities to experiment with new ways to mix and match content for consumers. So I thought I might just share some ideas that we've been working through, that we'd love to extend our product offering to kind of do these things. But obviously, as with the Nick Cave piece, we need great content to make this work. You can't just do this without the content. The content is always king, and really our software just facilitates that. So. Obviously, musical soundtracks to books. Some people love listening to music while they read. Other people hate it. They need complete silence. Personal thing. But I think there are a lot of musicians out there that I think would be really open to some kind of collaborative effort. I've just named the really obvious list here. There are hundreds and hundreds more who might be interested in some kind of interesting collaborative option. The challenge with soundtracks, of course, is that you record a piece and one reader might read quickly, another reader might read slowly. So with these advanced devices, what we can do instead is we can think about contextual soundtracks, where you might have a composition and you break it down into its component parts, and then you introduce elements as the reader gets to certain points. And this is something that I'm really excited about as a possibility. Not only could you have different tempos of music coming in and out, you could have incidental sounds. So, for example, I think one has to be careful about overriding the reader's imagination. It's important to let the reader imagine all these things. But, for example, if there's a scene in one chapter that's in a marketplace, you might have, the rustle of that sort of background noise in the marketplace that just helps set the scene. It doesn't undermine any of the imaginative process of the reader. This kind of contextual or intelligent soundtracks was actually first pioneered by LucasArts many years ago on The Secret of Monkey Island. They had this iMuse system where, as you went around, the music would intelligently update itself, becoming more dramatic or more comical. And I remember at the time, I think it was the mid-80s this was, or early 80s, it was really fantastic. Sadly, I'm not sure if the iMuse system is in use. I do find it funny, though, that LucasArts might be the first company to have used the little lowercase I, and now we're in the iPod and the iPad and the iPhone generation, so maybe that was prophetic. On a more sort of straightforward note, you could integrate with compilation albums. I mean, there are books like Nick Hornby's Fever Pitch, which has many references to music, or flip it around. You might have compilation albums like the Help album series for War Child, where there might be writing that's inspired by that. And with the iPhone apps and iPad, it's not difficult to integrate iTunes purchasing options within that. So you could buy individual tracks, you could buy whole albums, and the app could check your media library to see if you have those songs already and play them at the relevant points that you want them to. Pushing more into a music realm, I mean, you could take the album notes and make them more book-like. Apple already has this iTunes LP technology, which is basically a website in a zip file. It's pretty cool. But with an app, you could kind of put it on steroids. You could make it do all sorts of things. You could have a karaoke system. You could have more in-depth things. You could have, maybe there are what do you call them? Outtakes, rather, or behind-the-scenes stuff. Maybe there's video of musicians in the studio recording things. You could really build it out in a way that fans, I think, would really, really appreciate. And of course, you know, with all of these opportunities, it might be that the rock biography will never be the same. At the moment, you know, with this presentation, I'm really focusing on how music can be integrated into books. But if we're talking about books that are around music, there's no reason why the book couldn't connect to the band's website, pulling in information. It could connect to fans' websites. It could connect to Facebook. You could really provide a jumping-off point for fans to get more involved in the band, following, you know, purchasing tickets for gigs and shows and all the rest of it. Going away from the book even more, there have been some quite interesting innovations with apps in gigs, because the iPhone has got geolocation attached to it. You can do some quite fun things within a venue. You can unlock extra content for people that are there with that iPhone on. Can't imagine many people take their iPad to a gig, but you never know. In a few years, that might be the case. But of course, with all these great ideas, there are some challenges. And the biggest challenge, I would say, are rights and royalties. I always recommend to clients that if they can do a worldwide release of an app, it always fares much better. But of course, as soon as you start to include music as well, that doubles the complexity of clearing rights, and you might have to look at some kind of multiple partnership across worldwide publishing partners, which is no easy task, I know. Apple approval is another one has to be a little bit careful about with features, because they have the iTunes Store. What they don't want is for people to, they don't want music as apps straight off. They want users to buy music through the iTunes Store. So, you know, in the example about the sort of karaoke booklet idea, there would have to be a step where you purchase the tunes or check the media library to see if the user has it. You couldn't bundle that album inside the app. Apple are a little twitchy about that. And of course, I mean, stating the obvious, cost is always a factor. There's always a cost to being innovative. These things take time. Polish is really, really important to us. You can't just slam something together and put it down there. It will get terrible reviews immediately, and you won't be doing anyone any favours. So any kind of venture like this has to be done right. And I won't lie to you, it costs money. Yeah.
Do you develop Android system too?
Not yet. We've been looking at Android very keenly. I mean, we think Android's great, but there have been some problems with Android as far as we're concerned so far. One thing is that it's only the most recent version of Android version 2.2, that will allow apps to be greater than 256 megabytes in size. Now, for comparison, the Nick Cave book clocks in at about 850 megabytes. And the reason for that is because with I know it's big, because it's 12 hours of audio. And it's not just an audiobook, it's an audiobook with music, and it's important that music is encoded at a high bit rate. So we're encoding the audio at 300 kilobits, which is massively high, but it was important to retain the clarity in the 3D spatialized sound for that. So really, our kind of products are only suitable for Android